Hello ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be working on lesson 2 of programming with Python. Now today we're going to be covering variables and names, which really naming is just naming convention, which is just a fancy word for naming these variables. So for example, we're going to get right into it. If you have your text edit up, or no, my bad, Text Wrangler or Notepad++ or whatever you're using as a compiler up, we're going to be using that. So let's get started. First, save your files ex2.py for exercise 2 or example 2 or lesson 2 if you really feel like it. Just make sure there's no spaces in between the names, and if you have spaces, use underscores, which are these little icons underneath. So how are we going to do this? First, we're going to pick up some names. First, we're going to say apples. Apples equals, we'll say we have 50 apples. Pretty simple. So we need bananas equals 30. Peaches equals 20. Not 2 or 20. And oranges, it doesn't have to be case sensitive in this case. Okay. So you might be asking yourself, okay, so we're listing stuff. Well, apples, bananas, peaches, and oranges are the names, but they are equal to the number we just gave them. So for example, apples equals 50, meaning apples is 50. So if I were to say print apples, save, go to my terminal, and type in Python ex2.py, we'll have 50. It's exactly as it's weird to get the concept at first, but okay, we'll say I have, well, for my bad, quotation marks, print quotation or double quotes, I have, use the comma splits it from the print, apples, comma, apples. So what does that do? Well, it prints out the text Python ex2.py, and it says I have 50 apples. Pretty simple. So let's give the rest of these things their own sentence. So okay, I also have, comma, bananas. So what I'm doing is I'm giving each sentence their own little defining key here. We have oranges, and lastly we have peaches. Now one thing I want you to get used to into habit wise is when you're done coding a little bit, go back to your terminal and make sure everything works, because sometimes, for example, if I take away a comma, say, oops, don't want to open that, okay, say I take away a comma, it'll break. It'll tell us line 9 is lastly we have blank peaches. It'll say invalid syntax, which means we have no comma. Okay, so yeah, this is all cool and stuff, but you know what else we can do? So we can say print apples plus peaches, and what that'll do is give the actual equation of what we have, 70. So what it will do is add both together. And that's kind of what the defining tag's pretty cool. There's another kind of define tag we'll get into later, but right now I just want you to grasp this concept that defining variables and symbols actually works like this. And sometimes we can do something as, okay, So we'll say, and this is a little more interesting, in another sense. So we're going to say print I have %d. We'll use d for numbers in this case. %d, 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 and %d. If I add these together, I get %d. Now this may be a little bit confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a percent thing here, and since there's multiple variables here, we're going to be using these open close parentheses. So what we're going to do now is we're going to type in apples, comma, bananas, comma, oranges, comma, or peaches and oranges, peaches, comma, and oranges, comma. Now this is where it gets weird. So now you're going to type in apples with no comma plus bananas plus peaches. Yes, don't knock me for my spelling habits. I am a slow kind of person sometimes. Plus oranges. Okay, save. After you put the close parentheses, save. Then we're going to type in Python ex2.py. I have 50, 30, 20, and 25. And if I add these together, I get 125. And that is a string as well. Using %d, you can also use %s, and if you're really wanting to test this, you can use %r. But be warned, for multiple numbers, you're going to need separate ideas of what you're going to be using. Okay, so for example, we're going to add some more defining tags right quick. So I'm going to say my teeth equals single quotes white. We'll say my hair equals brownish blonde. My eyes equals gray. So now we need some numbers. Okay, so my weight equals 207. My height equals 72 for inches. You can probably put feet, but it would have to be in the variable. So my height's 72, and we'll say my age is 21. Okay, so now we have some defining variables. Now each one of these defined variables can be inputted into a string. So in this case is %d or %r. So in this case we have two variables. So we need %r and %d, one for numbers and one for letters. So instead of going through and saying this is what it is, because I'll do a quick example of what I mean, is I could say my teeth are we'll say %r is our words. So our words is %r, so I'll set % and then my teeth, or space my teeth. And what this will do is pretty much define my teeth in that variable, string variable. It's kind of weird to explain, but see, this is my teeth are white. So exactly what we did up here, %d, 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 blah, 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 all these %ds, is we took each one of these variables, apples, bananas, peaches, and oranges, and we just defined those as this. Whatever you put in these brackets here, open and close brackets, like the apples, comma, bananas, peaches, oranges, are what the %ds, r's, or s's are going to be. And that's pretty much string theory with variables in a nutshell. I hope you guys found this somewhat useful, and I hope you use this to your advantage. What I want you to do as an exercise is make up your own way of exercising this, like your games, your movies, or if you're very crazy minded, your pubic hair. Why not? It doesn't matter what you use as a defining number or letter or word. Whatever you come up with will work as long as it kind of evaluates with this. Again, if you guys are really interested in these lessons, I would check out Learning Python the Hard Way. It's a great lesson so far. I'm almost done with the actual whole book. I'm on like lesson 44 out of 52. It'll teach you something. I'm going to be teaching you what it taught me in my better way explaining of how I understood things, which is kind of weird, but I found it something useful for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Turn in next week. Tune in next week for another lesson from Ryan with learning Python or programming with Python. Later, guys.